Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, Ferdinand Magellan. They were all great explorers, crossing great oceans and discovering new lands. It was an expensive venture to send out ships to the great unknown, so what could prompt such a risky gamble? Simply a more flavorful dinner. They were searching for the route to the spices of the Far East. Peppercorns and cloves led the way, and even nowadays, pepper remains the #1 spice in North America. Today, we continue the exploration as we discover peppercorn-crusted beef tenderloin with smashed potatoes and wilted kale. Look out, Columbus! I'm Garret Schack, and that's what we're cooking on the coast. Today, we are searching for a better route to amazing flavors as we prepare peppercorn-crusted beef tenderloin with smashed potatoes and wilted kale. All right, we've got a few things going, and anytime you need to prepare a meal, you kind of want to do your mise en place and get some stuff rolling first and foremost. So, I have some lovely curly kale here, fresh out of the garden. We're gonna go straight into our boiling pot of water here, lightly salted, and into the pot, okay? As you can see, I'm putting the whole whack in there. And I haven't trimmed off any stems or anything yet, and that's for a reason, okay? I'll let that start to wilt down, and they'll just cook together. Go right into that. Now, kale's it's a superfood. Most of you have probably heard all about it already, but packed with antioxidants, way more vitamin C than even an orange. It's amazing stuff. So anytime you can get it into a delicious dinner, why not give it a try, right? Let's turn our attention to the potato pot. I've got some boiled potatoes here, so we want to church them up a little bit and do something a little bit fun with them. We're going to get them right out of our pot here. We're going to kind of smash these down. Like we said in the recipe there, they're smashed potatoes, but we got to add a little flavor to them as well. So once we got a few out on our bench here, I can use my trusty knife here and just give them a squish down. They should squish fairly easily because they're still warm, and that's exactly what we're going for. So there's 1, 2, lovely, 3, 4, 5. Let's do one more, because we like even numbers here for potatoes. And there we are. Now, put some olive oil into our little pan over here. Just a titch on the bottom. This is going to help keep them from sticking. And then we're going to put our potatoes right down in that olive oil and just move them around. Again, this is coating the bottom of them so they don't stick to our pan. So the smashing part is done. So that was the fun part. Now we got to make them taste good. So we're going to add some fresh cracked pepper. There we go. Of course, salt. Sprinkle that salt on there. You can be fairly liberal with that. Potatoes love salt. I've got some grated Parmesan here. Some really nice, fresh grated Parmesan Reggiano. And then grab some fresh thyme if you have it. Rosemary would work really well here, but this is going to tie our whole dish together because we'll be using some fresh thyme a little bit later in the show. And just sprinkle it over nicely. Nice thing about thyme is it comes off fairly simply. And when you have thyme on your hands, you want to smell it. Let's pop these into the oven. 425 degrees, so nice hot heat. We really want to start getting some golden color on there and melt that cheese, okay? In it goes. Okay, we can leave those for a few minutes and have a look at our kale here again. So one of the reasons I like to leave the stalk on is because it tells us when the kale's ready. So we can pull it out and give that stalk a squeeze. And if it's still really firm like it is now, you can see I can't crush it. It means the kale's not quite finished cooking yet. We want to give that a little more time. All right, so once we can squish the stem a little bit, getting pretty close there. You see how it's kind of squishing underneath my tongs there? That means it's exactly ready, and we want to get it out of the pot and into an ice bath. I want to stop that cooking and try to preserve some of the nice green color that we have going on there. Okay. There we go. In we go. Perfect. We can turn our stove off there. Now you'll see it'll quickly cool down, which is exactly what we want. And then we're going to take them out and give them all a good squeeze just like this. Okay? This way we don't have to waste that stem because it is totally edible once you've cooked it down. And we'll give them all a good squeeze just like that. Get rid of the extra water. and then we're just gonna give it a julienne. I'm gonna continue doing that while you're away at break, but we'll be back later in the show to pull together our peppercorn crusted beef tenderloin with smashed potatoes and wilted kale. Don't go away. Right after the break, we're getting out on the road. You won't wanna miss that. Just like in cuisine, sometimes spices sneak up on you and they give you a punch of amazing flavor. Well, we walked by and found this place that snuck up on us, Daksha's Gourmet Spices. Let's go inside and see what they're mixing up. With me today, Daksha.
Hello.
How are you? Very nice to meet you.
Very
and
nice
Bhaskar.
to meet you.
Pleased to meet you, Garret.
Pleased to meet you as well. I tell you, as soon as I walked in here, all you can smell is these amazing aromas of spices. I'm so excited to be here, and it sounds like you two have got some really cool stuff for me to check out today. So,
Absolutely.
Where do we start? Where does all this begin?
It all starts with the whole spices. So we bring in high-grade whole spices from all over the world.
Okay.
And we actually sieve them, clean them, and then we put them into blends. And these are the palette that we basically use in different combinations for different curry mixes.
All right, okay.
We make the garam masala with the spices, which is right here.
And these are pretty special recipes, aren't they?
They're recipes that have been in my family for over 300 years.
Wow. and this is what the kind of packaging looks like here.
Absolutely, yes. So this is the mango salsa, a tandoori chicken, butter chicken, which this is a really good,
Of course,
number one salad
People
for us.
love butter chicken, don't
Absolutely.
they? So let's get down to the roots here.
So what we're going to do is just grind up some spice
Can I
quickly.
sneak over
Yes,
this?
go
one?
ahead.
And this is what's going to unlock the flavors and the aromas in the spices because they're all locked in and encapsulated.
Right,
So
okay.
I'm just going to turn the machine on.
All right.
And that is grinding whole tuna.
Right, okay.
And you can actually smell.
That sweet smell of tuna. So fabulous. Now, I know a little bit beforehand, Daksha and I were talking about like roasting spices and stuff like that, and it's important not to, right?
No, when you roast the spices, you end up losing the essential oils,
Smells so good.
you lose the moisture content, and you lose some of the flavonoids.
Right,
And
okay.
it reduces the intensity of the spices when you're actually cooking with them. So the idea is allow your cooking process to heat and dissipate
Right,
the
and absorb to
flavonoids.
keep it all
That's
in the
right.
dish.
So when you put that first spoonful in your mouth, you get that layered flavoring,
Right.
and it's just, oh my God, I've gone to heaven.
So then what? What's next?
Right,
So now
so
we
what
would have ground the whole bowl of
Yes,
spices, right? That
absolutely.
you've weighed and mixed and so on.
So here we've made, we put a mixture of salsa mix,
Okay,
the mango
this is the mango salsa mix, right? Yeah.
And Bhaskar is going to mix up the butter chicken mix.
You know, you won with the spices, so.
Okay, right. I like it.
Yeah.
This is very zen.
And, you know, after we've done the blending, we then put it in the packages that go out to our retailers, and of course, you can pick up our product online through our website as well.
All right, and we talked about, I had asked, like, how do you preserve it? So when it's sitting on the shelf there, but it's through the special packaging that you use.
That's right. So
Yeah, so nothing funny goes into this here. It's just
No.
really what you see, what I'm doing here.
Exactly. So once we've done this, then we actually leave the spices, the blended spices, to gel together into one uniform flavor.
Okay, yeah. It's not hard to tell that this is really a passion for the two. Like,
We just love it.
you take this seriously. I mean, some people might just throw it all together and say, okay, put it in a package and get it out on a shelf. But you two really take care of it and love what you do. I love that. It's fantastic. All right, so what's next?
So we're going to make the mango salsa.
Okay.
And so it's basically two mangoes that are chopped and a quarter onion.
Very nice.
That's all chopped up. And some cilantro. And
I
I
love
love my
cilantro.
cilantro, so it's about half a cup.
Very nice. Yeah, that's such a lovely flavor, doesn't it?
It does, yes. So we're going to throw in the mango salsa mix. I'll let you do that.
I get the fun part.
So now that's for a medium heat level.
Right.
And if you like it mild, then use half the package.
All right.
Okay. We're going to throw in
That special package we were talking about
Yes.
right there. Look at that. It's a little thicker than what you might think. It's pretty cool.
some lime juice, a little bit of salt, and
touch of sugar.
Sugar, and I'm going to get you to mix that all in.
You two are putting me to work here today. I like it. This is good. All right, there we go.
So there you go. It's good to let it sit for a little bit.
Yeah, let some of the flavors marry together.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Well, let me give it a taste. Yeah, looks good. That's really delicious. The coriander is lovely, and your spice mix. I mean, it's nicely coated, all that mango.
Really brings out the flavor of the fruit.
It's such a lovely flavor, yeah.
A wonderful, refreshing summer dessert, or just an afternoon snack. It doesn't take long to prepare.
I unfortunately have to get back to the studio, but very nice to meet you, Daksha.
Thank you for coming.
Very nice to meet you, Bhaskar.
Thank you for stopping by, Garret.
My pleasure. I will definitely be on the lookout for your cookbooks and for your product in the stores.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. It's back to our kitchen. We're working on peppercorn crusted beef tenderloin with smashed potatoes and wilted kale. First thing we want to do is crack some peppercorns. Now I know you're thinking, well, why don't we just use the handy pepper grinder that you always see me using? We want something a little coarser for this. So we're going to lay a few peppercorns out on our bench here, and then grab a fairly sturdy pan, and then lay it down on top and kind of rub it around. And you should hear them start to crack like that. That's exactly what we're looking for. And this way we can get some nice big pieces to make the crust for our steak. Okay? Okay, looks pretty good. Try not to have any whole ones. We don't want any whole peppercorns in there, and it looks like we've done a pretty good job of chopping them. And we'll get this over. I got a plate just in front of me here. I'm gonna drop those on. And now we have some beef tenderloin. I'll just set it on my cutting board here. Lovely cuts of meat. You can see a little bit of marbling in there, but not too much. Nice thick steak. This is probably a 5 to 6 ounce piece. That's what you should ask your butcher for when you go to the store and grab some. And just drop them right down in the peppercorns. Same with this one. Set them in there just like that. Now while it's there, we're gonna season the other side with some salt. There we go. And then flip them over in those and keep that crust going. There we go. Press them down nicely. Now I have a cast iron pan on the stove here, nice and hot already. And we want a nice hot pan because we want to create a crust around the outside of these steaks. Okay, so let's go over to that pan. I've got some butter in there already, and I've got some butter and vegetable oil. The importance of the vegetable oil in there is it keeps that butter from burning, okay? Kind of raises the smoke point a bit. Now we got those on there nicely. Let's go over to our pan. Nice and hot, start forming a crust. That sizzle away, very nice. Now we should mention the spice a little bit. As you can see here, see how it's kind of got a white tinge in there? There's where you get white peppercorn from. You take the skin off the black and you're left with nothing but white pepper. Pretty interesting stuff. Now we want to turn our heat down just a little bit because we want that to give a sear, and it's going to cook on that side for just a touch here. Now while we're doing that, let's chop up our kale and we'll start sauteing that. You can see I've squeezed all the liquid out, and we're just left with these delicious kale that we're just going to slice up. And this is the vegetable for this dish. Otherwise, it would just be meat and potatoes, which is okay too. A little olive oil in a pan. Man, you can smell the peppercorns already. It smells incredible. You probably didn't know, but peppercorn actually is high in vitamin A and vitamin C, believe it or not. We can get these right into the pan and just start it sauteing. Now that's not going to take any time at all because it's already cooked through, so we're really just adding a little extra flavor here. And we're going to do that in the form of some shallots. So I've got a nice shallot right here. We want to add these sort of at the same time because if we add them too early, the shallots and the garlic will burn. So shallots go in, and let's put in a piece of garlic. There we go. And we can chop that up just a little bit finer. Into our pan, let that sizzle away. I'm going to give that a toss here. Yeah, there we go. Have some fun. And then turn our attention to our peppercorns again. Probably about 50% of the entire spice inventory is made up of black peppercorns. or the volume in dollar figures anyway, because we go through so many of them in a restaurant. Turn those guys over. Very nice. Let's see if we do the next one. Awesome. Now we really want things to caramelize in that pan because we're going to build our sauce right in that pan as well. And add a little white wine to our kale here. Fabulous. Give it another toss. Smells delicious. I'm gonna add a little more and then just let that cook for a bit. Let's pop over to the oven and see how our potatoes are doing. Oh, I can smell that Parmesan cheese. They've started to color nicely. Cheese has gotten nice and crispy around the sides there. Doesn't that look amazing? Grab a spoon here, and we'll put a couple of these on the plate. When you're the chef, you get to pick your favorite ones for you or your guests. There we go. Nice and crispy. Beautiful. We'll have a look at our steaks here that are coming along really nicely. For a medium rare, you want to cook them about 4 minutes on each side. So I like to do 2 minutes on one, flip them over to the other side for another 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes and 2, and so on. You get the idea, don't you? So let's flip these guys again. There we go, looking great. Give our kale a little toss. Beautiful. All right, let's give our steaks that last flip. There we go. You can really start to see the crust develop there nicely, can't you? Looks fabulous. In the meantime, we're gonna need a little prep for our sauce. So the steak au poivre, which is a classic French dish, usually has some sliced shallots, which we're doing here nice and thin. There we go. Some fresh garlic, do the same, nice thin slices. Okay. And then a few of the ingredients in front of me, and we'll set those down when we rest these steaks. Let's have a look at our kale. I'm gonna get some of this kale over to our finished plate there. And then as we start to build this all together, just set those right on top, just like that. And now, I'm gonna introduce the shallots and the garlic to the pan. And start those cooking. We really wanna make sure that we use that same pan because it's gonna give us that depth of flavor that we're looking for. Now, depending on how you like your steaks, they're pretty ready to come out. I'm just gonna use the same pan as my potatoes there to rest them in. So we'll just set that right over there, just like that. Set that down there for Mike to have a look at. And now get our sauce going. So, one of the key ingredients to steak au poivre is sherry or cognac. I've got some cognac here. If you're doing this at home over a gas heat, you want to take it off the heat and just add it in. Let it cook away, and then grab a trusty lighter. And we've tried this before on the show. Hopefully it works this time. There we go. We have flame. We're really cooking here today. All right, we want to let that burn off. Add a little more. Again, like I said, we want to take it off a gas stove if you're doing that, because it will, as you can see, ignite. There we go. Very nice. It smells incredible. Caramelizing. Okay, now I've got some demi-glace here. Fancy French cooking term for really reduced beef stock. Okay, so it's come together. You can see it's kind of gelatinous. There we are. Just a few tablespoons of that'll do. Man, I love the smell of this dish. That intense, pungent flavor from the peppercorns. We add that beef stock in there, that demi-glace. Smells incredible. And then some heavy cream. I know, this is French cooking after all here, but we'll go a little bit light on it. That's maybe 2 tablespoons. Perfect. We do want to pick up some of those peppercorns that have cooked to the bottom and any meat juices that were left in there. And then we have, I told you, we were going to add this back to the dish a little bit later. We're going to put some thyme into this sauce as well. There we go. If you're anything like me at home, you don't want to create too many dishes either. So this is a great way to do your sauce and your cooking all in one pan. You can see it's coming together really nicely there. Season with a little salt. Beautiful. We don't have to add any pepper to this dish. I'm sure you can understand why. Let's give it a little taste here before we pour it onto our steaks. Oh, that's fabulous. Just use a touch more salt And boy, you get a little bit of that black pepper heat right in the back of your throat. It's absolutely fabulous. Turn our attention to the steaks. We have let them rest in the time that it took to make the sauce. If you want to let them rest a little bit longer, that's just fine. But we'll put these right in the middle of the plate here, on top. Very nice. And now with that sauce, we're gonna go right, pour that right over top. There we go. And we're just gonna ladle this over the top very nicely. Spoon it over. Rich, delicious, full of flavor. Bon appetit right here. This is a meal fit for a king. There you have it. Peppercorn crusted beef tenderloin with smashed potatoes and wilted kale. Oh man, one of my favorite dishes for sure. And now my favorite part of the show, the beverage pairing. With me today is Mike from Sea Cider Farm and Cider House. How are you?
Hey, Garret. Good.
Nice to see you today, Mike.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
see
coming
you.
on the show. What did you bring?
Well, we got our Rum Runner cider here, which is actually our most popular certified organic cider.
Cool.
We make this right here in Victoria on our 10-acre farm and cider house. We're certified organic. So this is a big, bold cider, and it's going to pair perfectly with this big, bold dish.
Nice, yeah, because we've got lots of flavors going on here, right? So we
Definitely.
definitely need something strong to keep you kind of hang up with that.
And this is a high alcohol cider. It's 12.5% alcohol.
Wow.
It's
Yeah, that is
aged in
booze. That's
Kentucky
got some
bourbon
booze, eh?
barrels, so you get that
cool.
bit of that.
Where some of the color comes from too, right?
That's where some of the color, a little bit of molasses, brown sugar, and you know, it's just that sort of big, bold cider to go with a big, bold dish.
Wow, that's so nice. Yeah, you really get the sweetness from the barrels, hey? That's really nice. Should we dig into some of this steak?
Sure.
So I hope you don't mind peppercorns.
I don't.
We'll have to make a bit of a mess here, but that's all right. Grab your steak knife there and dig in. I'm gonna give it a taste with some of the kale here. This is the hard part. We gotta chew. Everybody else gotta watch us doing it. Nice peppercorns there. That sauce is really rich. You know, it's funny. I think because this has got some sherry in it, some cognac. I think the barrels are kind of really working together there.
Yeah, there is screech in this because we used to actually use screech barrels to age us in. We now use Kentucky bourbon barrels, but we do add the screech as a homage to the name Rum Runner.
Rum Runner, very cool.
So,
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's awesome. I've been screeched in, by the way. It's a lot of fun. Check out our website where you'll find more information on today's show and maybe a few surprises. I'm Garret Schack. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to savor the flavor. Now's our favorite part. We get to eat some more and drink some more. I love this cider.